Hey beautiful people, welcome or welcome back again to the channel. It is There here and I am your captain. So today we're going to be talking all things Anmac, like ANMAC. Anmac stands for Australian Nursing and Midwifery Accreditation Council, which is the licensed entity or licensed body that is responsible for skilled migration for registered nurses. So they do assess your documents to see if it is comparable to the Australian system of nursing registration. They will now give you a go-ahead to apply for a skilled visa in Australia. Okay, so if you are just seeing my face for the first time, welcome to my channel. I am a registered nurse in the UK, currently making my way down to Australia. I am just documenting my journey, my process. Okay, so this is not an immigration advice and this is not also a professional advice. However, I am just sharing my journey, hoping that it does help someone watching my video. So if this looks like something you would love, make sure you hit the subscribe button, also hit the like button, and of course share this video with a nurse friend looking at migrating to Australia very soon. And of course, let's get right into it. All things Anmac, the licensure process, the documents required, how I applied, my results, of also some frequently asked questions about the Anmac process. Okay, so if you are new to my channel, you might want to check my previous videos on how I got my license in Australia. I have a playlist on all things Australia, so I'll leave the link in the description box so that you can go watch those videos as well. Now, first fact, if you are not applying for a permanent residency visa, you do not need to do an Anmac skills assessment. Okay, that is what I've noticed. For Anmac skills assessment is needed for those people applying for a permanent residency. What are the requirements that are needed for your documents to be assessed by Anmac? So Anmac uses a 5 assessment tool. The first criteria is your identity. You need to prove your identity, that you are legit, you have your passport, have any change of name. You also have to declare the recent passport photograph that has been taken in the last 6 months. So those are the 3 things you need to provide for your identity check. The next thing you need, language proficiency. So they accept 4 type of tests. They accept the IELTS, OET, PT, and the TOEFL. Except clubbing if there is no score less than 6.5 for IELTS. I'm going to be leaving all the score requirements on the screen. The third criteria you need to meet before your application will be accepted by Anmac: educational qualification. Okay, so you are saying you are a registered nurse. Does it meet the Australian system of education? They need to see proof of that. You must provide your school certificates, your transcripts. You need to provide that from all the schools of nursing you have attended. Okay, so if you've attended BSc, you have your RN, everything, you must provide transcript for. Let's move over to the fourth criteria is your professional practice. Now you might be wondering, how do you prove that? You need a professional reference. Now I promise you, this is where it's a bit tricky. You need to be careful with your reference because Anmac has a particular reference style they need. Okay, I'm going to put it on the screen as well. Your professional reference is going to determine what ANZSco code you are going to be practicing in. Now, I know you are confused what ANZSco code means. I also was. I don't know if I'm even pronouncing it well, but it's ANZSCO. Australian Nursing Council has a different code for you to practice. So I know, right, in the UK where we practice, if you're an adult nurse, you can practice in most medical settings, and you can also practice as a surgical nurse. You can practice as emergency nurse. In Australia, it is not so. Okay, so they have ANZSco code. You have to stick to the code your license has. Okay, so for every specialty, they have an ANZSco code for that specialty. And why I say you should be very careful with professional references, that professional reference would give you points towards your permanent residency application. So you need to make sure that your professional reference is up to par with what Anmac needs. Otherwise, you are going to lose points for your PRO from that. So Anmac assessment is either positive or negative. The criteria that your reference needs to meet before it will be accepted by Anmac is either you have a 12-month paid working experience in Australia, or you have a minimum of 3 years working experience overseas. Okay, for you to meet Anmac requirement. Okay, so whilst you are applying for your license, you do not need to have minimum of 3 years. But when you're applying for Anmac, you need it. So Anmac and AFRA, they do different thing. Okay, I already have a video on AFRA registration. That's where you get your license. But don't confuse Anmac with AFRA, because Anmac is solely for migration purposes. It's solely for your visa, and it's only if you are applying for a permanent resident. Okay, so please don't confuse these two. The ANZSco code is determined by the last 3 months of practice. So if you have been a follower of mine, you know that I recently moved to anesthetics. I had to wait to get minimum of 3 months experience as an anesthetic nurse, so be able to use this code to get my registration under the peri-operative nursing code for Anmac. If I had not put in my recent experience in anesthetic, they would have given me a code for medical practice, which means I can only work in the ward until I get a new experience. I don't know, this is a bit different from what is known in the UK, but I hope you do understand what I'm trying to pass. Now, the last criteria you have to meet is your fitness to practice. How can you get your fitness to practice? Now, you have to get it from every country you have license in. So personally, I have license in Nigeria, and I have license in the UK, and I had license in New Zealand. So I had to get my fitness to practice from these countries. For NMC UK, it was very easy. I just went on their website and I did my thing. They sent it via email immediately. In my country, Nigeria, they also sent to Anmac. And for AFRA, like my registration with Australia, they do not need it. They only just ask that if you have registered with AFRA, you don't need to send a certificate of good standing. Okay, so they were okay with that. What if I don't meet these 5 criteria? You will be deemed unsuitable for skilled migration. But that is not the end of your Australia journey. It only means that your journey to become a permanent resident will be delayed but not denied. Okay, so you can go into Australia using the work visa but not the permanent residency visa. Work visa is the 482 visa. You don't need Anmac skills assessment to get that visa. If you want to apply for the 190 visa, 186 visa, 189 visa, you need Anmac skills assessment, so you need to meet these requirements. I already have a video explaining these visas on my channel. I'm going to leave the link in my description box so that you can watch those videos to determine if these visas are worth the wait, because as most of you already know, I've been on this journey for a while, and that is because I am applying for the permanent residency visa. It does take a while. Okay, it's not as easy as the 482 visa. The 482 visa, if you apply within 20 days, you get it. But as I am applying for a permanent residency visa, the requirements are different and it takes longer to get everything ready. Okay, so you might want to check if this is worth the wait. Personally, for me, it's worth the wait because I'm already here in the UK. I'm not in a rush to move to Australia, and I don't want to move to Australia with one foot in. I want to move to Australia as a permanent resident. Okay, so if it's not something you want, you might just skip all this process and go into Australia with the temporal 482 visa. So Anmac does 3 types of assessment. They have the modified skilled assessment, modified plus skills assessment, and they have the full skills assessment. So each of these assessments has the requirement. So you need to check which of these skills assessments you are eligible for before you apply. I'm a registered nurse in Australia and also in New Zealand, so I do qualify for a modified skills assessment. It is easier when you already have your license in Australia to apply for Anmac. In that case, you save money because for full skill assessment, it costs about $515. On the other hand, if you are doing the modified or the modified plus skills assessment, you only pay about 340 Australian dollar. So if you weigh the difference, it is a lot. So it is better for you to have your license either in Australia or in New Zealand before you do your Anmac skills assessment. Okay, now that we found out that we meet the requirements for a modified skilled assessment, I'm going to show you my full screen on how I did my own application. So the first thing you have to do is to create an account with Anmac. I'm going to leave all the details in the description box. So I just have to put in my email, an email for further instructions, and just copy and paste the link in my browser. Welcome to the page. I went ahead to choose a modified skilled assessment because that is what I qualified for. and I just proceed to answer all the questions that is here. So you don't have to give your details of your family name, personal contact. I'm not going to bore you with all of this, but just fill in all your details as truthful as you can. After doing all that, you are going to get to a page whereby you just have to upload all your documents. Now for context, if you are a registered nurse in UK, you do not need to provide Anmac and English language test, okay? For me, it didn't take a while before I was able to get my Anmac assessment done. I think within a week after all my documents were received, I got my skilled assessment result, which was positive. Yes, this is my own journey, and I do hope it helps somebody out there. Let me know what you think about this Anmac skills assessment. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. When your whole assessment is done, they will send you a letter of determination. This letter of determination is valid for the next 2 years. So within that 2 years, you need to have used it for your visa application. If this has expired when you have not gotten your permanent residency, you need to apply for a new skills assessment from the beginning again. So within that 2 years, make sure you grab that PRO, okay? When you pay your application fee for Anmac, bear in mind that you have 12 months to submit all the required documents. So when I applied for mine, it was in January, but I knew I didn't have my anesthetic certificate yet. But I just applied and I uploaded all the transcript that was needed. But my anesthetic transcript didn't come until March, I think, before I was able to apply for it, able to submit, and within 1 week I got my Anmac skills assessment. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope this helps you. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.